Today we're taking a look at the brand new town that I've been working on this past week with the brand new Gothic Craft Structure Custom Cosmetic Skins. These definitely feel like the skins that we all wanted with Lost Colony, with the proper Gothic vibes and a lot of really cool 3D textures to them to really bring those Gothic builds to life and bring them justice with a lot of cool gate options, a lot of cool gargoyles and everything, lots of little details and plenty of options to make some really amazing Gothic builds. I enjoyed them so much that I dove straight into building a proper town. So I've got the first little road down and the first few buildings, including a nice Gothic Manor, a Gothic Mansion, a house, and even a gate into this town just to begin with. But I definitely have bigger plans to keep this growing, add a cathedral, a castle, and you name it. So definitely leave your suggestions for builds you'd like to see as part of this town down in the comments below. Hello there survivors, and welcome back to another video in ARK Survival Ascended. As you can see, I've been quite busy building my own little town. I was really excited to get started with these skins, and yeah, I've been wanting to start another town building project for a while and take everything I've learned from the past few years of building an ARK and bring it to the next level here. So for the foreseeable future, I'll definitely be working on my town, making additions. So definitely leave your feedback, not only suggestions for things you'd like to see added in the town, but also which buildings you'd like to see tutorials of. I might not be able to do tutorials for every single build, but maybe I'll be able to do something different like stream builds as well, so that there will still be a way to follow around with most of the builds that I do in this town. And as always, if you enjoy seeing these types of builds and you want to continue to see more, make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate all the support. And with that being said, let's dive right into the build. So we're here over on Ragnarok, and I chose this location very close to the mountains. It's located here on the map, so quite central on Ragnarok. It's a really nice area. It has some lovely foresty areas, as you can see. It's got, of course, the nice snowy mountain in the background, and we're looking down to the desert down below. But more importantly, just some very nice landscape. There's even a little river. We might end up doing something with that in the future. But it also just gave me a vision of a sprawling town being here, maybe the cathedral here on this edge and the castle up on those rocks at the top to really get some cool vibes going. And you can already see the first few builds that I've made. So instantly when this released, I started building this Gothic Mansion and really played around with all of the options that this skin pack offers, and quite happy with the result for the first building. There's a lot of really cool pieces, from the dormers that we can see on the roofs to all the little spikes that you can add to, of course, all of these archways that are on dino gates, and even all those big windows, these little arches that you can create from ceilings. There's a lot of nice details, the little tops for the towers, the spiky points, etc. There is an absolute ton of things in here that make building Gothic style buildings so much more easy and so much more, well, appropriate to an actual Gothic style. Really a lot closer to what I would have hoped for and would have expected with Lost Colony, but this definitely exceeds it a little bit more. Like, these are some really cool structures and yeah, make some really awesome builds possible. So this is what I did the first afternoon that I got the skins, tried around a little bit with the build, and quite happy with the result. And then I continued to go. You can see I've made a little street here with this cool little statue. We got this little building right here and even a little town gate right over there at the edge. And now that we've also added a big manor to the other side of the street, it definitely starts to feel like a proper street here, and it kind of gives a little bit of the vision what I have for this project. I really want to go all out here and build an actual cityscape or an actual townscape, and yeah, go down in the nitty-gritty, add a lot of details and do a lot of cool builds here. So yeah, hopefully you'll join along for the ride. So today I just wanted to show what I've got so far. The big manor we built mostly on stream, and then I replicated everything on the other side on my own time to make sure it was all complete. But yeah, you'll be able to see a lot of really cool textures. You can see some of these awesome statues, etc. All of this is the Gothic Craft cosmetic. There's a few things that aren't from the Gothic Craft cosmetic, such as this water down here. This is from the Crystal custom cosmetic. The fountain and the waterfall are from the well, the waterfall and fountain catalog, or the fountain and waterfall catalog. I always mix up which order they're supposed to be in, but that's where they're from, and there are definitely some nice additions. And then the wyvern statue is actually from Castlecraft, but there's also plenty of cool statues in the Gothic Craft deco mod. And then over here we've got some of the normal barrels, we got some of the western deco here for these crates, and then this is actually a fridge skin with the Gothic Citadel cosmetic on it, just to kind of make a little bit of life happen here on the streets. So let's take a closer look at each building as we go around the town. We'll start with this one because this was the first one, even though it's quite a big build, and I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. From the nice entrance here with this big arch to, of course, these side bits with these dino gates that are looking really nice, and just all the little details that you're able to add with a bunch of different pieces. You could get some really cool builds going. Even these arches underneath, all of those little things just make this skin so nice to work with and feel properly Gothic. Even this little tower, which is just a like visual detail for the build, is not actually accessible from the inside, but yeah, we have this beautiful thing with the torch at the top to give some light, but also a nice pointy tower design. Just makes for some really cool architecture. And of course, all of these different windows that this skin offers are absolutely brilliant. I like the way they're implemented a lot. They are great to work with, and you get a ton of different options. As you'll see around the build, you can see a different window right over here, but also these supports down the back. So this is just a large wall variant that will get these supports coming out of the side. There's different sizes for them, so you can definitely do some really cool builds with them. I can't wait to get to do a cathedral with this skin, because these supports are gonna make that a glorious build, because yeah, this is just such a cool piece. All of these little extra textures. Also, the options in the dormers is quite nice. There's a lot of different ones, different sizes, and different little details on them, so you can well, keep them mixed up all around your builds and all around your town, which is definitely a very helpful thing. And yeah, I'm quite happy with the way that this build turned out. I didn't do like a proper interior yet, also because if I'm going to be building a whole town, I don't know how much decorations I want to do on the inside, just to avoid, you know, this thing becoming too annoying to load. But yeah, we have some decorations inside. These are supposed to be skinned, but I guess they're no longer skinned. But yeah, this is like a dining table. But the Gothic Craft doesn't really have any utility skins at the moment, I don't think. So I've used the Castlecraft for some pieces, but mostly I've been focused on like the different textures here. So there's different floor options, as you can see. We got these beautiful curtains that are added to the inside of these windows to really make them feel a little bit nicer. And there is a ton of different options for you to kind of add little details like this. We got some of these awesome gateways all around. We have these stairs with the little bit of carpet going along. And then if we get up to the top, again, we can see all the curtains, but we can also see the beautiful carpet floor. That is also one of the variants that you can use, and definitely makes for some very nice looking interior. So I do think if you go all out, you can make some proper good looking things with it. Maybe once I've got a few buildings, we'll do like a decorating stream where we decorate the street levels, but also a few of the interiors for builds that we finished, so that we can kind of do that together. But yeah, definitely enjoyed this a lot. I enjoyed it so much that I couldn't really stop, and I kept going with adding all sorts of details that this cosmetic offers, and decided to do a few more builds. So my second build was actually the Gatehouse over here, which you can see has a nice tower off to that side. We got one bigger building off to this side with another tower, but this time using one of those steeper roofs. And it's also using the village set that also is a part of this cosmetic, with a bunch of really cool little details, as you can see, to bring loads of life to the build. And again, a different roof set, which I really like the look of these textures too, and especially again with all the different dormers that it offers. So again, you have a lot of options and a lot of variety that you can bring to your build, and it's just a different type of house. I like the village set, bringing in some different colors and textures, but again, quite a nice little build over here with a proper gate in there, because for now at least it's going to be the end of the little town, or this little side street, so I decided to block it off. But yeah, you can see with very little effort you can build some really nice looking builds, because this tower in essence is a very simple build, but just with all these 3D pieces like the gates for the windows, etc., and these large wall options, you get a lot of depth already, and just a very nice looking build. And then also these tower things with the steeper roofs are such an amazing addition. Really fits the Gothic vibe perfectly, and they're just on an artifact pedestal, so they're great to add as little details on top of your existing builds and existing towers. Now then, I built this little house, which is a little bit more like a proper little house, maybe a little shop, where, you know, I've added this nice little window display to have a little bit of more detail poking out of the side. We also have this little tower connected to it, and then again one of these bits to make it a little bit more pointy. But I also tried something different here with the roof. So all of these Gothic builds tend to have like the roof kind of closed around with these big stone walls, so that's what I try to do here, with using these battlements a little bit on the edge, and then also these slope wall variants to really make a tall stone wall at the end, and then have the roof in between those. And I think that works quite well, actually. I really like the way that this looks, and just the options and the variation that this offers you is quite nice to begin with. And of course, all of these big windows just always look quite good to begin with. So that's kind of like this little side street, which I already really like the feeling of this, being able to walk around this street, and, you know, feels like a proper town, especially now that the manor is in place on the other side. So definitely by far the biggest build I've made here so far. You can see a lot of details. It is quite symmetrical on both sides, but then also there's some slight different details to keep it interesting. You can see the fountains, of course, in front of it, and the statues and the flags and everything to really bring back all of those details and add a lot of character. We have the little tower above the entrance too, so there is a lot of options there. Of course, I haven't really built anything around it yet, so it's kind of just sitting here in the landscape, but I do quite like the look of it. And the biggest feature was to build the courtyard in the middle. But first, let's take a few looks here at this side. Yeah, you can see the sides of the building, they look quite nice. We've got some side entrances as well that I'll have to connect back up to the rest of the town as it keeps growing. But for now, the most important feature here was to have this beautiful courtyard. So we have that similar arch that we also had on the manor, the mansion there, and then this is the way to get to the manor courtyard. And well, if I do a tutorial for this manor could definitely be a great survival base, because then you could use this courtyard, maybe not decorate it as nicely as I did now, but use it for keeping your tame safe and maybe doing some breeding. But you can see we got a lovely courtyard here with a nice statue. This is actually a table with a deco box on it, and then with the Gothic Craft Skins you can turn it into some very nice builds. And then I used the deluxe dream house garden set for some nice details here. So this is just the floor is with the deluxe dream house. I did use some JVA's flowers to make these flower beds on them, but the hedges and the hedge sculptures, etc., is all from the deluxe dream house cosmetic, which is another really cool cosmetic. And yeah, I've been really wanting to use these hedges in more projects, and I think they just add a lot of lovely details to your build. There's a ton of different hedges that you can choose from, but it felt like the griffin was a quite appropriate choice for this kind of vibe. And I actually really also like that you can really customize a lot of the pieces, like the flags. You can completely change the options, like there's a few color options, a few logo options, etc. So there's a few different things you can change about them to make them fit your needs, which is quite nice. And you can see it makes for a rather nice little courtyard here. Really happy with the results so far. Then I've actually done, well, not necessarily the interior as much as I've done the interior structures so that this looks all right. So we have basically the room that we enter. We can also go out through the side entrance, and then we have some different rooms to work with. So if I do decorate, this is kind of like a guideline for rooms with different purposes. We have these entrances going into that little archway into the courtyard. So we have some smaller doors there, but we also have the staircase to go up right here. This connects all the buildings so we can walk from one side to the other. And also up here, there's a bunch of different rooms that I've created. So yeah, you can basically kind of divide these rooms into what you would do with them. Either, of course, are very practical if you're going to use it as an ARK base for your playthrough, but in my case, probably would be a lot of bedrooms, and then, you know, the kitchen somewhere, maybe a ballroom. I don't know, like there's a bunch of different purposes what would an actual manor have. But I do think this build definitely could be a proper ARK base, because there's a decent amount of space all around it, which is quite nice, of course. And then this is the other exit of the courtyard. Of course, haven't connected anything to that just yet, but there is definitely a lot of options there, and yeah, just a lot of really cool sets to play around with. The only slight issue that I have here is that the landscape didn't really work with my plans for this build. For now, I've just decided to ignore that because, again, I'm just building a cool town, so I don't really care too much about the exact interior. But yeah, if I do a tutorial, I'll show you exactly how to build it without running into landscape issues, of course. And then here, of course, we have the side entrance, which actually does lead somewhere now. So we have this little bit that we can follow. We can follow the stairs down, and it actually goes into this side road, which connects back up to the actual sidewalk that we had over here for now. And of course, as the town will continue to grow, I'm sure there'll be more and more additions. One of the next things I want to do is create like a proper little street. This feels like a proper main road because it's quite wide, but I think I might want to do like a little side road, which is a little bit more narrow, and it's going to feel a little bit more like a proper town with a bunch of different smaller houses, more like this size, but closely together to really get those grimy feels. Maybe have some really narrow back alleyways and stuff like that to really bring a lot of character to the place. And yeah, then we'll see where it goes from there. As I said, definitely got big plans. There will be, of course, a cathedral at some point because, well, we have to build a cathedral with all of these pieces. At some point, there will definitely also be a castle up to that hill. And I assume a bunch of different buildings all the way around this to really make it feel like a proper town. So I'm thinking that maybe before we take on the proper cathedral, I'll build like a smaller like church maybe somewhere else, and we'll have a bunch of different buildings that we could make, from a blacksmith that could also function as your workshop in ARK. We could make like a little butcher. We could, of course, have some stables somewhere, which could again be a practical build that you could actually use in ARK playthrough too. So I kind of want to blend just, you know, building a proper town with, okay, but how could I make this building still be useful if you're not also going to be building a town, but you're just using some of the buildings for your ARK playthrough. But yeah, definitely been really excited about this new cosmetic and about all the options it offers. As you can see, I've been instantly kind of started this project, and just for your information, by the time you're seeing this, it has of course been like a week or something since the cosmetic is out, but when I'm recording this, it's been like 2 days. So yeah, I've been I've been quite enjoying this cosmetic, to say the least, and I'm very excited to see where this goes. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, of course, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and again, feel free to leave your suggestions down below for what you would like to see in this town or any other builds you'd like to see me do. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again in the next one. Goodbye.